Hi, welcome back. We've talked about finding data and downloading data and creating a catalog for your data, but sometimes the data that you really want is not easy to download or even easy to find. Sometimes the data is visible, you can see it, or it's invisible, but you still know it's there, but it's not easily downloadable. So this week, we're going to talk about a couple of ways you can get your hands on that data. We're going to review some of the simple ways and some of the harder ways of extracting data in a process called scraping. Some of the ways are more advanced and require some programming skills, but most of the ways are much more simple and don't require programming skills, just some knowledge of some tools. The next two videos are about scraping or extracting this data. Lots of interesting data cannot simply be downloaded. However, there are lots of resources to help you access data that is legally open data that you can have. The very best resource I know is Paul Bradshaw's book, Scraping for Journalists. The very first chapter of this book has you scraping data in under 5 minutes and takes you on from there depending on how many programming skills you want to learn. You can use Google Sheets, you can use Python, you can use lots of different things. Get your hands on the book. It's available for not too much money. So now that we've talked a little bit about scraping, let's try some scraping. And we're going to try the method of scraping that I think is usually the most successful and immediately rewarding for beginners, and that is to use a Google Spreadsheets function to import a table that's in a website into your Google Doc. And once you have the data in a Google spreadsheet, you can format it any way you like. You can import it into Tableau, you can import it into Excel, R, Python, SPSS, almost anything you want. So Google Sheets has a number of functions that are built in, and here in the Google support site you can see, we can scroll through the list. There's all kinds of interesting things built into Google Sheets, and the one that we're going to use is called import HTML right here. And there's also import XML, so if the data is slightly different. But for this tutorial, we're going to do import HTML, which imports data from a table or a list within an HTML page. You can click here if you want to watch the Google tutorial, but for right now, we're just going to copy the command and we're going to paste it into our Google spreadsheet. And so you can see that it's a generic command, import HTML, and you need to put the URL, which is the web address, into the part of the cell that's called URL. Then you want to say table because we're going to import a table. Import HTML can also import lists, but for our example, we're going to do a table. And then you put a number. So that's you telling Google which table on the website that you would like it to import, starting with 0. And sometimes that takes a little bit of experimentation. So I think I'm going to be writing a data story about migration or children. And so one of the things I have found is a very nice table on the Statistics Canada website that shows the total population, the number and percent of immigrants plus the relative ratio, and then the number and percent of recent immigrants. So this probably won't be the basis of my story, but I'd really like to have this data. And you can see that unfortunately this doesn't have a nice little download button. So either I have to copy and paste this into a spreadsheet or type it into a spreadsheet, which might give me all kinds of errors. But instead I'd like to scrape it. So what you do is you just copy the web address where you found it, and then that's what you insert here where it says URL. So you take out the letters URL and you paste in your website. Now, an important thing you need to do, which a lot of times we forget at the beginning, is you need to put a quotation around the web address. So what I've done is copied and pasted the web address of that StatsCan data table into the cell that has the import HTML function in it. Then there's a comma and the word table, which is going to tell Google that you want it to extract a table from this website and bring it into this spreadsheet. Now, exactly what number the table is in the website, you can find that if you want to spend some time looking at the code in the developer console of the website, but it also really works to experiment. Start with 0 because computers start counting at 0, not at 1. But I have found that the fastest way for beginners is just to experiment. So put in any whole number there, usually 0 or 1, unless you can count that there's several tables before. And then literally all you have to do is hit the return button. And Google Sheets has taken that spreadsheet from this website and plopped it into a beautiful spreadsheet. Now you can give your spreadsheet a name, Immigration Canada from the 2011 census, and then you've saved it. And remember, as we've talked about, save the raw original data in one place and enter it into your data catalog, exactly where you got it. The name of this website goes in your data catalog, today's date goes in your data catalog, and then save a second version of this data into your working data folder so that you'll work with the copy that isn't your original copy. So that is the fastest and easiest way to scrape data, and go try it and have some fun.